Hi learners, welcome to your channel The Learners Acad. Today's video will bring you the topic of World Englishes. In today's video, we will talk about the introduction to World Englishes, interrelationship of World Englishes to sociolinguistics, and major trends in World Englishes. So let us start with the term World Englishes. So what does the word mean? So English is a worldwide language that is being spoken in all parts of the world today. Thus, it is not confined to English anymore. It is called World Englishes on the basis of variation of language in society. As you know that the word consists of two nouns. First is world and the second is English. So it is showing that this language is now being spoken in worldwide. So it means that it has not been confined to the particular part of the world or the particular geographical figure. However, it is a globalized language and all of the areas and all of the geographical lands in the world are now speaking English. So in this way, there are as many variety in English today. We can see as many people are speaking English. So this is why that it is now called Englishes rather than the word English, and in this way it has become a worldwide spoken language, so it is called World Englishes. World Englishes is a term used for the world's largest speaking language, English, and that has become a global mode of communication among people. However, it is influenced by many factors that will be discussed later on in this video. So stay tuned with us. Moving forward to our next topic, that is Interrelationship of World Englishes to Sociolinguistics. But before going towards this topic, if you not have liked this video or if you not have subscribed this channel, kindly go and subscribe it first. Also, press the bell icon to get the latest notification from Learners Acad. So, society and language apparently this does not have any particular significance with each other, as society is something the group of people and language is something that is spoken by people. So if apparently we know that it has no that visible interrelationship with each other, but if we go deep down into the analysis of society and language, we will come to know that this is society that influence the language and this is language that determine the shaping the norms of our society. So here we are having the definitions and then the analysis of this sociolinguistic term and their interrelationship one by one. So what is society? Society is any group of people who are drawn together for a certain purpose or purposes. So it means that society is not something that the people belong to that particular area, are just living in that area. However, there are many people that are, drawn together for the mutual purpose or benefits, but their originality depends on their origins, that from where they belong to. It's like if you talk about America, so the United States is not only the state of English, rather there are many immigrants, and they can be Indian, they can be Pakistani, they can be, they can be Bengali, and there are also French and many other people that are immigrants. They are living there. So it means that United States is not wholly for English. Rather, it is a combination of the communities that are living together to work for mutual benefits, and they have made a society. Now, coming towards the language, language is what the members of a particular society speak. So, language is a medium that we use to convey a meaningful conversation between two or more people. So, if we talk about the relationship between society and language, you have gone through the definitions of society and language separately. Now, let us see that where that relationship comes and what has tied them together. So, social structures may either influence or determine linguistic structure or behavior. Linguistic structure or behavior may either influence or determine the social structure. So, in this way, language and society may influence each other, or they can be bidirectional. As I told you, that people are living together in a particular society, in a particular community, and they belong to different areas, and they have different castes, they have different creeds, they are different in their races, they are different in their regions. So the way they speak to each other, their dialects, as well as the societal forms, influence each other, and that is why the relationship between society and language is very deep, and they are bi-directional. Okay, so now we are going to talk about social linguistics. The interrelationship of society and language has tied them together in one vast term, that is sociolinguistic. From society, the word is socio, and from the language, the word is linguistics. So you can see that in this particular term, what comes under the relationship, the inter boundaries of language with society has come under the investigation. So the investigation of linguistics issues with regard to societal factors is called social linguistics. Social linguistics studies language as it is used in the society in order to identify variability of language in terms of the factors and structures found in the community. So this was about the interrelationship of society and language and how they have formed the term social linguistic. Now we are moving towards the examples that display you a clear difference between the linguistic and societal factors that actually determine each other. Language cannot be studied separately from its social or speech context. For example, Learners Acad has brought some examples for you that in language there are varieties of speaking. Just like if we talk about our social circle, so it varies from person to person. Just for example, if we sit in the community of our friends, our language is very slang, and that is colloquial, that is informal, and that is not official. So if we talk about our academic or any office language, so that is very formal and official. So there are some sentences that are making this clear to you, just like sentences: should I make some tea? Would you like some tea? Can I make you a cup of tea? Let us have a cup of tea. How about a nice cup of tea? I could make you a cup of tea. Do you drink tea? Have some tea. There is tea in the pot. So this is showing you what are these sentences doing here. Actually, these sentences are showing you that how our language changes if we change our societal context. So in this way, that these sentences are actually what they are doing here, they are showing you the varieties of conveying the same expression to multiple people in the multiple groups, and that these sentences will change from the community to community. If you are sitting with your friends, so you can simply say tea or coffee, but if you are attending an official party or something like that, so you will be saying in a very formal way that if you would like to have some tea or coffee. Now we are moving towards our next very important section of this video, and that is the trends of world Englishes. As you know that English has become a globalized language, and this is an advanced world full of information and technology, and all of our setups for a living is changed. So here is also the language that is become very trendy in our circle. So we are going to read about the trends of old Englishes. So let us explore what are the trends of old Englishes. So if we talk about our first trend, that is changing perspectives on English teaching and learning. Over the last 50 years, and especially during the last 20 years, the ELT field, the English learning and teaching field, has seen a dramatic change in our views of the role of English language teaching. So, English educators have realized that many language learners know more than two languages, and English is not simply their second language anymore. So, for example, if you were a Pakistani, you might know about Urdu, you know about Arabic, and you also know some of Punjabi. So that means that you are already aware of the three languages. In the past decades, if we go decades ago, so we experienced this thing that the phenomena was very common there, that people actually considered English as a second language. However, the recent research shows that before learning English, if you are belonging to another community or any other part of the world, so for example, I have given you an example of Pakistani. So if you are Pakistani, you might know the three languages already. So English in no case takes the second place. So it has changed from their second language to with the awareness that acronyms for the field have also evolved from teaching English to second language learners to teaching English to speakers of other languages. So we can see a clear shift from English being phenomenized as a second language to the teaching English to speakers of other languages. From Western English to English as an international language. The term teaching English for no obvious reasons has been replaced by teaching English for social responsibilities and communicative language teaching, contextualized language teaching. So we are moving towards our next trend, and that is changes in goal of English teaching and learning. So the goals of English teaching have changed from focusing solely on developing language skills and mimicking native English speakers to fostering a sense of social responsibility in students. More and more educators realize that we can't claim success in teaching, no matter how fluent our students become, if they are ignorant of world issues, have no social consciousness, or use their communication skills for international crime, corruption, or environmental destruction. With this growing awareness of importance of producing responsible citizens for society, teachers now well recognize that teaching English is not simply a project to prepare the students to imitate native English speakers as language learners, but that it should be producing fully competent languages that they will be enabled for critical thinkers and constructive social change agents. So it should be noticed that, however, in the last decades, if we experience English, so the mere goal of learning English was just to become enabled to speak English. But in recent studies, this is shown that English is just not a language to mimic, rather, it is a responsibility to enable the students, and the students have the responsibility to become responsible citizens. They will recognize their social responsibilities through language. And language is nothing to have with only spoken, but it is benefited if it is spoken for some constructive or social change purposes. So, our third trend is the changes in approaches to teaching. The 21st century is referred as post-methods era by many scholars, where the focus of teaching is on eclecticism. And first of all, you should know that what does the word eclecticism mean? Eclecticism is a word, you can see that it is derived from the word elect, and when we elect something, it means that we have selected something, and in eclecticism it involves the use of variety of language learning activities, and each of which may have different characteristics and may be motivated by different underlying assumptions. So in this way, that language is not in one way learning, but there are now, the advanced world has brought many opportunities to make language an activity based learning. And in this advanced era, you cannot stuck to one process of teaching English to your students. But however, this advanced era is providing us with a number of opportunities that will enable us to make the language learning on activities. And today, the use of language 1 and language 2 pedagogy and the use of different accents in listening activities and tests are encouraging in teaching and learning. So, in this way, the approaches of teaching is also changed, and now we are having a numerous opportunities to make our students learn through activities. And the learnings in the classrooms should also be based on activity based learnings. Coming towards our fourth trend, that is changes in teaching content, curriculum, design, and assessment. The field is recognizing the growing importance of content in disciplinary knowledge. The increased focus has meant that more and more programs require English teachers to use cross curricular, cross disciplinary content in teaching and to teach both the content in the English. As we have been discussing in this video from the earlier section of World Englishes, that English is just not a medium as a language to be mimicked, but English is now more or having more to do with their social responsibilities and with shaping their personalities. That English is just not a language to mimic, rather it has become a medium to be competitive, to be competent, and to realize your own cultures, to get knowledge. So the language is based on knowledge just rather than to mimic and shifting that accent into English, as people are very much attractive to a fluent English. But if you don't know about any particular culture, and if you don't know that what is the knowledge behind the current issues or the social issues and where your society is suffering from, so what will be the use of language in this case? For instance, if you know that you are very fluent in English and you are very fluent in speaking English, but when it comes to speaking about a social issue and you don't have the sufficient knowledge about any particular subject or any particular culture, so how you can make a debate, no matter if you are very much fluent in your spoken, but if you lack the knowledge in that particular field, you cannot be successful. So, for the success and the overall perspective of this language, English is now more based on the cross curriculum, cross content, and cross cultural or multidimensional knowledge rather than just to mimic the language in various ways. So, the textbooks and the learning materials include more multicultural content, drawing on both local and global resources to help students gain multiple perspectives and cultural understandings. Curriculum design is more content based and theme based with emphasis on both language and content knowledge. So now in today's world, it is a very important trend that language is no more, just confined to language or something related to speak. However, it is more related to the content knowledge as well, because English is not more Western English, but it has become an international language. And if you really want to be constructive in your ideas, if you want to be critical in your ideas, and if you really have a competency in this field, so you need to be well prepared for content and knowledge rather than the only language itself. So the learning outcomes and learning standards are broader and pursue the development of not only language skills but critical thinking, learning strategies, and related content knowledge and skills in the real world. Today's standards, accountability, and assessment have become a major focus of the educational reform in many countries in the world. Okay, so if we talk about our trend number 5, and that is expanding the dimension of communicative competency. So, a large focus of recent research and publications has been expansion of the framework of communicative competence. Some scholars have introduced a new way of looking at second language acquisition as a multi-competent, and others focus on the importance of intercultural communicative competence. The implication here is that for teaching intercultural communicative competence, teachers need to attend to both local and international cultures The goal is to produce effective language users competent to use English as an international language, not just learners who mimic the inner circle, countries, languages, and cultures. So you can see that if you are very communicative and if you are good in your spoken, the same question is arisen here, that if you don't know about the multicultural, the multidimensional ways of knowledge, so what you are going to talk about? It's supposed that it means that if you are having the language but you don't have the content, so how you are going to get benefit out of that language? So your language should be competitive, competence, and communicative progress should be there, and you can only be communicative competent if you really know the content knowledge as well. So we are talking about the trend number 6, and that is changing views of an effective English educator. With changing views of communicative competence and the awareness of intercultural competence, perceptions of what constitutes an effective English teacher are also changing. Recent studies on world Englishes and ELF, as well as the roles of non-native English-speaking teachers in the teaching English to speakers of other languages field, has made more people recognize that the effectiveness of English teachers should be determined by their linguistic, instructional, and intercultural competence rather than by simply using their linguistic identity to determine that. We want to make sure that our students are served by well-prepared and well-qualified teachers regardless that their first language background. The seventh very famous trend in this world Englishes is rapid development of integration of information technology in ELT. The recent rapid development of technology and the use of cell phones and different multimedia devices have opened endless possibilities for teachers to teach English and access information. For example, that we are living in a world full of technologies just like the internet, YouTube, web, ebooks, and various websites have changed how we prepare our lessons and instruct our students. It is now with the ready-made materials at the touch of a keyboard button, it is a lot easier to bring real-life issues to the classroom and have a meaningful discussion. You know that when you are teaching in isolation, have a really different effect when you are teaching in a classroom with your real life issues. For example, if you are put in a room and you are locked there for 12 hours and you are given 12 hours to learn something, so if you are all alone in the room and you have no outer world access, so how you can learn? The process of learning cannot take place. And let's move toward another scenario in which you are sitting in a classroom and multiple social life issues have been brought to you, and you are given a chance to speak over those social issues. That will actually create you the ability to create you think critically, and that also will bring knowledge to you. That also will become, or you will become aware of that issue. So you can see that how this is different from the reading or learning in isolation to the classroom environment, and how we can relate our real life with our content knowledge in the classroom discussions. So, appropriate integration of technology in the classroom encourages students to use language in many different ways. Furthermore, learners from different parts of the world can get connected and exchange ideas via internet and other media devices. Students may know more than their teachers about how to use technology, and yet they need proper guidance from the teachers on how to select, analyze, and utilize the right information to achieve their learning goals. So our eighth trend, the last but not the least trend of today's video, is that changing roles and increasing responsibilities of teachers and learners. With all these new trends, the role of today's teacher and student is also evolving, and our responsibilities have been increasing. In the 21st century, classroom teachers have multiple roles and responsibilities as facilitators of students' learning and creators of a productive classroom environment in which students can develop the skills they will need for the 21st century workforce. More and more teachers and students are asked to use collaborative, content based, project based curriculum to develop higher order thinking skills, effective communication skills, and knowledge of technology. Another change noticed is that many teachers no longer teach in isolation, as I have just told you in the earlier point that it actually varies that how and what to what extent you learn in isolation and what are the opportunities you seek when you are sitting in a classroom. So teachers have the opportunities to co-teach, team teach and collaborate with the teachers or rather the students from other disciplines. It is more important than ever the teachers receive real institutional support, including funding and release time to attend professional development activities and implement new ways of teaching and assessing learning. They are essential if we are to prepare our students to be effective users of English and responsible global citizens, and also prepare ourselves to be reflective practitioners and critical social agents in this world of globalized Englishes. So we have discussed in a very detailed way that what are actually the world trends of world Englishes today and how language has become change in every perspective, just like the goal, the perspectives, the approaches, everything, and the teaching methods are also changed. And with the advancement of the time, the advancement in the ideas or in the perceptions of the language has also changed. Just like English is no more a language to mimic, and the learners should not only focus on English just to speak it, rather their study should be content or knowledge based. That will enable them to recognize their communicative competencies, and that will enable them for the constructive environment. They can be constructive, they can be critical thinkers, and they can shoulder their social responsibilities through language. The language is just not here to be mimicked, rather it should be used as a medium to be critical thinkers, to be constructive, to be instructional, to be well aware about the world issues, and to pay their contribution or their role to develop their societies and work for their nations as well. I hope you like this video, and that was the informative video for you all, and you enjoyed that video. If you like the video, don't forget to press the like button and also subscribe to the channel to get the latest updates from the Learners Acad. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. We will be back with another informative video for our learners.